Welcome to Bear, brought to you by Giddy. I'm Marisa Sullivan. Today I'm here with actor and filmmaker and writer Gino Cafarelli, who you may recognize in some big films these days. I haven't seen you in so long. How's it been?
I know, everything's great. Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, we go back. When did I meet you? Back in 2006, I think, LA?
Yeah, over 10 years ago, for sure. Your roles just kept getting bigger and bigger. You had these bit parts here and there, and then there's Gino. Oh, there's Gino. Oh, there's Gino. And then all of a sudden I'm watching Capone, and you're acting beside the right-hand man of Tom Hardy. You've been directed by Bobby D, Robert De Niro.
Yes,
You've worked with Al Pacino. I mean, God, what is it like working with these huge guys as an up-and-coming actor? And now I'm sure you're more nuanced in the professional world.
You know, what I say now is I'm starting to, or I've starting to, or have earned my stripes as a character actor.
And Martin Scorsese.
Yes.
The Irishman.
Yes, in The Irishman. I was in between Al Pacino and Robert De Niro on a dais for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And a bunch of people that I admire as actors in the audience as well. So it was incredible.
But I want to go into your biggest role in the last 8 years.
I always say that.
As a father.
Yes. Yes.
And can you share your daughter's name? Or
Sure. Well, I mean, it's on the book.
Okay, that is her actual name. I didn't know if that was her real name. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
So Gino wrote a book called Athena Visits the Marina.
Yes.
And let's talk about what sparked this. Your daughter was born with hearing loss.
Correct.
And how much hearing loss? Like, is it? Just describe in your own words what you went through.
I don't, like, technically the percentages, I always kind of lose track of it because I don't like to use the word disability.
Right.
You know, she has a hearing loss. I come across people that say, well, your daughter's deaf. And no, but is it within that community of deaf and hearing loss? Yes, but she's not deaf. She was born with a hearing loss. It's moderate to severe in both years. We found out very early on, because in the hospital when a kid is born, they give you a hearing test. And most times it's because there's fluid, you know. And they say, well, usually there's fluid in the ear, and you may want to look into it and retest it a month from now. So we didn't think anything of it. Mm-hmm. So she failed the hearing test. So we're like, oh, okay, she probably has fluid, we'll revisit it. And we booked an appointment with an audiologist. That's when we found out. The doctor that delivered the news wasn't kind of, the way it was delivered, the way the news was delivered, it was kind of like, well, your daughter can't hear. It wasn't like, well, sure, there's a certain loss in this ear, there's a certain loss in that ear. So it just wasn't the way it was addressed. It was very kind of like, blood just kind of rushed, to my feet. It was like, what do you mean? Like, so it was just very shocking. But just like anything, you educate yourself, and if someone has a hard time seeing, they get glasses.
Yeah.
The contacts get glasses. They have to have a hard time hearing, which I've lost some of my hearing as well, being in nightclubs growing up.
Right.
I guess I could go out and get a hearing aid. Eventually I'm going to need one. And it'd be great to be like, look, and I do say that to Athena. I'm like, Daddy's got to get an all better. She calls it an all better. And in the book, I call them all betters in the book, but I got that term from her. Because when she puts them in, she hears better. So she calls them all betters. We may have to visit implants because sometimes the hearing aids at a certain point could only do so much. But she's adapted so well to the hearing aids. She speaks perfect. But we may have to entertain cochlear implants down the road.
Right. So the cochlear implants, and you were describing it's going to help a lot more, but the transition period is going to be tough for a little
overall,
girl,
it'll be the best thing for her. At first, they said, well, she doesn't need them. She's doing really well with the hearing aids, and she doesn't need them. She doesn't need the implants. We're like, oh, awesome. And, well, would the hearing get worse? Is it going to get worse? You don't know. Like, you can't really determine what's going to happen in the future with hearing loss, or with certain, again, I don't want to use the word disability, just, you don't know what's going to happen. So if that's the case, we will, cross that bridge when we get to it, and she's going to get the same love and support. But overall, it would be the best thing for her. Because, if the hearing aids are not doing their job currently, you're not going to want her to have the hearing aids, because that, you're doing an injustice to her. So
yeah.
But overall would be the best thing for her. But as a parent, you know, your heart breaks.
Yeah,
you know,
scary.
because
surgery,
surgeries and going under and stuff like that. But she's gonna be fine.
And
she's
just so people can know, and other parents, that like it will get better no matter how tough.
Yeah, I'm a member of certain groups on social media like Facebook, like hearing loss groups and stuff like that. And it's sad because a lot of parents that they find out, they're like, oh, I just found out my daughter was just born, or my son was just born with a hearing loss, and then when they see the book, they're like, oh wow, and then when the kid starts getting a little older, they're like, oh look, you know, like they get excited that it's like, oh, this is normal. Like kids have to wear hearing aids, like when they have a hearing loss. In the book, it's like a daily routine. So the daily routine is, you know, she gets up, you know, she puts all betters in, and then, you know, we get her ready for school. And then the weekend hits, and there's a little detour in her routine, and she visits the marina, and she communicates with the sea animals via her hearing aids. So I kind of wanted, again, to show that it's a magical power in communicating with mermaids and dolphins, and
that's so sweet.
Yeah, you know, when a kid reads it, if they can relate to it and they have hearing aids or hearing loss or cochlear, even if they have the implants, they'll be like, oh, it is a superpower. And like, you know, I dedicate the book to the hearing loss community. I also dedicate the book to Athena's grandparents. They're very, very, very supportive of Athena and what I do. And her mom, Irina, is an amazing mom, and we're great co-parents.
So when you and your partner, Irina,
yes.
When you were together, when this all, how did it like strengthen or strain your relationship? Because it definitely, you know, it strengthens the co-parenting, because again, it's you know, at first you're like, oh my God, like you're like shocked, and you're like, oh, you know, like, but you know, you take a step back and you say to yourself, well, this is not about you, it's about the kid. Yeah. And I know it hurts, and you know, it's not about like, well, what are we gonna do now? Like, it takes your ego out of it even more, because you have to try even that much harder for this.
Yeah. I'll tell you what's amazing about I don't call her an ex, we were never married, my ex-partner. We're the best of friends. Like we communicate, and we respect each other. So I respect her time, she respects my time. And again, 8 years have gone by, we're going into 9 years, Athena's gonna be 9. We respect each other's time. When she needs to go away or needs to do something, she's like, hey, you know, just give me an FYI, I'm gonna be, and we make it work. And of course I want to find someone that really understands me as an artist, understands me as a dad, understands the scenario, the situation that I'm in as a single dad, and that, yeah, I get along with my ex-partner. And we're great parents, and we co-parent, and you might get jealous of that or envy, but don't envy. You should actually adore it. Most of the time, they'll be like, "Oh, so you're an actor?" They kind of like, "Oh," because again, they judge a book by its cover. It's like, "Oh, he's out there." Actors are like, you know, very like, you know, like I can.
They need attention.
They need attention.
You know how it is. The industry events. It's hard to meet people.
Totally. They're like, well, it's you know, it's today, right? You're like, how are you going to meet someone? Like, because now if you like approach someone in a supermarket, or if you approach someone that you want to approach, they're going to think you're a creep. So, yeah. But I'm like, and I was joking around. I'm like, oh, I'll catch you on the app. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's like you're on the app. Like, and but I get it. When I was first in the dating scene in the 90s, there was like the party lines or the phone lines, and like you didn't even get to see people. So I mean, of course, it's advanced so much, but it's still, you know, with all filters and like the filter thing and the angles and this and that, and it's like catfishing and like, what are you looking for? And it's very simple for me. It sounds simple, but maybe it's harder than just sounding simple. It's being mentally connected to someone and then physically connected to someone. When they say you can't have your cake and eat it too, that's bullshit. You can.
Well, Gino, thank you so much. I'm so excited and proud of you for
Thank you so much. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, and I'm glad we kept in touch all this time.
All right. We are brought to you by Giddy, getmegiddy.com. Gino Cafarelli. Thank you.
Thank you.